Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Morgan. In today's episode, we're discussing patch and pause, coordinating system updates in live buildings, what it is, why it matters, and what decision makers need to know to avoid costly mistakes. Joining me today is Michael Harrington as we break down real-world lessons, common challenges, and practical takeaways you can apply immediately. Let's dive in. Imagine a late-night firmware update that was supposed to be low risk. At 2 a.m., the update completes, but the next morning, tenants can't badge in. Deliveries are backed up, an important meeting is delayed, and the building operations team is on repeat with the vendor trying to roll it back. That scenario costs more than time. It erodes trust. Today, we dig into how that happens and, more importantly, what to do about it.
Michael, thanks for joining. To set the frame, when we say change management for buildings, what are we really talking about? And what are the common failure modes you see?
Thanks, Alex. Change management in buildings is the orchestration of updates across mechanical, electrical, security, and network systems, so they happen safely and with minimal tenant impact. From an operational standpoint, the frequent failure modes are predictable: missing dependencies, unclear owners, silent updates from vendors, and single points of failure nobody documented. The key question I ask teams is, what breaks if this goes down? If you can't answer that quickly, you haven't scoped the risk fully.
Let's unpack causes and trade-offs. Why do updates break things so often in live environments? Is it technical debt, or is it process, or both?
It's a mix. Technical debt matters. Outdated controllers, unsupported firmware, and bespoke integrations all increase fragility. But process amplifies the risk. You can have perfectly good hardware and still get caught by an undocumented handoff between security and facilities, or a vendor pushing a silent patch that assumes a network dependency isn't used. That combination creates hidden single points of failure: a card reader tied to a controller that hasn't been updated in 5 years, or a gateway whose backup isn't tested. Those are the things that convert a routine update into a tenant-facing problem.
How do teams balance the need to push security and reliability updates versus the operational risk of deploying them in a live building?
You have to trade frequency for control. Rapid patching reduces exposure to known vulnerabilities, but frequent unscheduled changes increase the chance of an outage. My rule of thumb is simple: categorize updates by impact. Low-impact, reversible changes can be bundled into regular weekly windows. High-impact or non-reversible changes need staging, explicit sign-off, and a rollback plan. And remember, that's fine until it fails, so always plan for failure. Test your rollback and communicate the window to tenants.
Speaking of governance, who should own the change calendar in most commercial properties? Facilities, IT, or somebody else?
Designate a single change owner role. Often that sits in building operations or facilities, with clear escalation to IT for networked systems. The owner coordinates windows, collects approvals from stakeholders, and enforces vendor requirements. From a practical standpoint, the calendar should be published and shared with tenants and vendors. Require vendors to provide a pre-deployment checklist and a minimum rollback capability before any live change. That small governance layer reduces surprises without adding heavy bureaucracy.
On the technical side, what lightweight controls and tests actually catch problems before they hit production? Teams often fear testing because it sounds expensive.
Keep testing pragmatic. A basic pre-deployment checklist catches most issues. Confirm backups, validate configuration snapshots, verify communication paths to controllers, and test a rollback in a controlled window. Does the system return to known good? For higher-risk devices, use a parallel controller or an off-hour staging zone that mirrors the live setup. Also, require vendors to explain failure modes and provide a recovery checklist. Those steps rarely require huge investment, but they do require discipline.
Can you give 2 concise real-world examples that show what goes wrong and what changed afterward?
Sure. First, a vendor pushed an access control firmware update overnight without verifying the controller's time zone settings. In the morning, badge authentication failed for several zones. The fix required a rollback and a manual time correction on hundreds of readers. After that incident, we required timestamp checks as part of every pre-deployed checklist and added a mandatory staging window for firmware. Second, an HVAC controller update changed Modbus polling intervals and overloaded a gateway, causing heat scheduling to fail for a floor. We added explicit dependency mapping and a limit on concurrent vendor changes during occupancy hours. Both changes were process fixes, not new tech.
Those are great practical lessons. For listeners who want to act immediately, what are 3 rules of thumb and a one-page post-change checklist we can adopt today?
3 rules of thumb. 1. Own the calendar. 1. Change owner. Published windows. 2. Categorize risk. Don't treat all updates the same. 3. Require rollback. No change without a tested fallback. And a simple post-change checklist. Verify primary function. Confirm dependent systems. Validate tenant access or occupant safety systems. Record exact versions and results. And send a quick stakeholder update. That 5-step checklist closes most surprises and keeps tenants informed.
To wrap up, if you take nothing else from this episode, remember to coordinate the calendar, require pre-deployment checks and rollback plans, and communicate quickly when things change. For templates, the one-page checklist, and show notes, visit the Built, Wired, and Secured Hub at GDS Technology for downloadable resources and episode notes.
That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today, we explored practical change management for live buildings and why clear ownership, lightweight testing, and rollback planning matter to the people responsible for planning, operating, and protecting technology environments. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world.